Okay, this window works. Well, restream works. Let's check Twitch. Okay, Twitch looks fine as well. Well, at least it shows that I'm live. I guess that's all I can ask. Right. Oh, damn, I seem to be sleeping more and more these days, which is good. I'm very glad about that. Right. Well, yesterday, well, my internet died at the end of the stream, so my stream ended abruptly. What I did off stream was finish up translations, and I think that was it. And committed everything, all the changes to the Git repository. Right. So today, this bot's menu. I have another button to implement. So delete bot button works. Oh, claim bot. So I have two buttons. I thought I have one left. So I have both extend and claim bot. Well, claim bot is a lot simpler. Guess I'll work on that today. Get webhook error. So this returns translation of an error, okay. Well, if the error is not correct. If not, webhook. Well, this will be called later on. Yeah, claim bot. Not sure, should I make a new menu, but well, I did for deleting, even though it doesn't have all that much in it. I feel like I should do the same with let's remove these commented out lines. Even though there won't be all that much in it, maybe I still should create a dedicated module. Hey, I'm remembering the the lingo, the terminology, Python. Right. Yeah, I guess let's do that. New file, aimbot menu. Right, and this one. It will be much like the claim bots, I mean delete bots. I wonder if this these loggers actually register correctly. I mean, if they actually have their own logging levels enabled. Because if I look at the logs, let's see. Okay, let's not do anything first. Let's check on that initially. Where is it? Logging. So main singleton. Oh, so test and production. I have two different versions. So I am loading test version, I believe. So listbot and deletebot should have debug enabled. So anything that's logged here, so debug, start, finish, yeah, start and then these should be logged. Let's add an end before it returns. Like this. Why is this in list bots menu? Yeah, I think this is old code that doesn't actually do anything. Yeah, delete killbot, delete battlebot, delete bot. I think I can save to remove it. All of this as well. As well as this. If I'll need an example. Classes. Don't I use date times somewhere? Oh, I use it in the helper class. Or do I? Oh, I guess the bot has the data class. Doesn't even have date time. So how do we actually display the expiration date? Menu context, these are buttons. Oh, helper get user bots. So all of that is done here. Where is it? Row, type, name, expiration date. So it's assigned to the fields. Okay. Oh, I guess that works. I don't really have manipulated the date myself. At least not yet. Right. So debug, debug, debug. If it's actually enabled. Because I'm a little bit skeptical about that. Okay, there are no changes. Really matter. And actually debug is working properly. When the configuration is updated, so everything is red. From the configuration file, looks like everything is in info mode until I get to debug. Until, well, I mean list bots and delete bot menu. Okay. Okay, let's run it. Classifiers. What did I change with classifiers? Oh, I just deleted the line. Oh no, I added the line, okay. Oh yes, I was about to add another classifier for the logger. Okay. Let's run it. And yeah, forest layer scam. Oh, database connection. That is kind of needed. can't enter the password correctly. Okay. It's done. Now I can run it. Easy. Test the bots. Let's not actually delete the bot. Yeah, you can see debug, start, end, start. Well, I guess not every method does have an end, but not much is actually being logged though. I guess I could expand on logging at some point. Log the... at least to log the values that are being passed along. Does helper have its own logger? This is main logger. Oh, this is the main logger. Helper. Here. Yeah, it uses the main logger as well. Let's create a dedicated logger for the helper. Helper logger. Oh, let's just call it helper, I guess. I don't actually add logger to any of other names. Right. So helper, need to set it up in the configuration file as well. Equals debug. And here. Classes, classifiers as logger. Loggers from classifiers, helper. Okay. Oh, and value. This is enumeration. Enum. Ooh. Right. Sleeping was I feel like each morning I harp about I talk at length about my sleep. Yeah, not sure if that's actually useful. Right, menu context, blah blah blah. List bots menu. So for claiming bot, claim bot using webhook. Okay, let's change that. Claim bot menu. Right. Guess I need yeah, I guess it will be a different menu. So let's call it claim bot or its section. And well, since the section is named like this, classifier for the menus will have to be named, well, matches that name, and the classifier itself is claim bot menu, which is a string. Right. Okay. Right, so we need the title. It has to have a title, description, and list title. And list title should say something like please enter name, the webhook that was used, that is used by the bot. Right. Maybe it should be more restricted by the bot. You want to claim. See title claim bot. In description. This lets you claim bot. Maybe I should stop this before I forget. Let's claim bot that was set up by someone else. Right. That should be, well, clear enough. Okay. Not really sure if I need to do anything else. Oh yeah, now we come back to this and implemented. Well, user input menu. So the menu itself is nothing different. The only difference will be how it calls well, how it handles the input. If cancel button gets pressed, and then it's no different, but if you get an input, it has to be passed along. See, where does the user get assigned the message? Right, when I get the message, get user data. Right. The last message, if it was none, okay, if it's not none, current menu, and last message is this. Oh, so this is last message that was sent to the user, not the message that user sent himself. I'm not sure. Well, if I add the message that was sent by the user itself, Yeah, then I don't really need to add any changes. I can use the default menu. Because the user gets passed along anyways. I think I will do that. Here's the user. Ban reason. Language name. Oh, user context. I guess that's what I'm looking for. Am I looking for a user? Handle user message. Access long user context. Oh, so it actually extracts the user. Doesn't pass along the whole user context. Oh wait, handle input gets the text. But yeah, the text is used to select an option, not to be passed along. Yeah, maybe after all I need to implement a different way of handling messages. Okay, I think well, let's see what we have here from the old times. So init, not really sure why it's different. It seems identical so far. I don't think I need to change anything in the here. And I don't need difference errors. Well, I have a way of displaying errors already. But the only thing that I actually need to implement is handle input. Let's see. I guess I need to check if the button was pressed first and call that, and then check if then pass along the input to whatever function was given. Yeah, how do I actually give the function to be called? I guess I'll just have to have I don't really like implementing like special cases. But that's the first thing that comes to mind. So special menu item. Would there be a case where I want to have a choice? Let the user pick something from the menu and have him input free text at the same time in the same menu. I can't really think of a case like that. Okay. I guess we can take handle input from the normal implementation. Maybe just have it next to it. Have this as an example. So it has validation and failure. Huh. So it used to call a different method. Well, at least the idea was like that. Yeah, I'm not sure you actually need that. You just need to set error to be something. Much like this. Generic invalid option. Right. I think the description also needs a link. Well, whatever. Let's make this first. Because this definitely won't be the last case of handling user input. There will be plenty of there are plenty of cases when you need to get users input, like free input in text. When you're setting up the bot, like bots have names, guild names, alliance names, so on, player names. All of these fields are entered freely. Right. Also, you might need to enter multiple things, one after another. But I guess that just means you will return when you handle one input, you will just return another user input menu. Yeah, that should be fine. Right. Okay, so I already get the text. A menu item kind of has everything I need. Oh, but menu items will be listed by the show method. Huh. So if I don't have any menu items, but I have something else in menu context. Yeah, menu context. The fields also. I can have the handler. Handler object. By default none. And only is used by this user input menu. Okay. Should I name it something else? Custom input handler? Custom input handler. Used by to handle user input free text. There has to be a better way to word this. Use input text, I guess. In user input menu. Menu. Right. And the error method, well, I guess it will have to call, well, to do validation inside. And then if it fails, it should return the same menu with errors. Yeah, so much like this. If handling fails, it should return itself. Well, I could have done it like that, but I guess when you're... Well, the validation here, it's always the same for invalid option. If none of the options match your input, then yeah, you can just get this general error. Right. Oh, okay, finished my coffee. So I'm ready to wake up and actually start. Right. So menu items, I don't actually need to check for menu items in here. What I need to check is for custom handler. So let's see if custom handler is not none. And this doesn't really need to be checked anymore. Well, I guess if user input handler is none, it's just an error. Firm of Sigma. What IDE do you use? I use Eclipse. Not sure if it's actually visible on stream. I think you can see it. Or maybe not. Yeah, you should be able to see. It is Eclipse. And quite an old Eclipse installation. Let's see. Yeah, 2020-03. So I've been using this for a while. Hello, by the way. Don't remember seeing you here. So, is this your first time visiting my stream? Yeah, I'm not familiar with Eclipse. Eclipse, well, if you're using Visual Studio Code, you're probably more familiar with this view, where all the menus are hidden and all you can see is just the editing window. That's how Visual Studio Code likes to show, well, that's their default interface. I'm not even sure if I'm sure you can split the view into multiple files. Yeah, it should say like first message from the user, right? It doesn't really say that. I guess if I had Twitch chat open, maybe it will. Oh yeah, actually it does, yeah, in the Twitch chat. But since I'm streaming both the Twitch and YouTube at the same time, I use Restream, so I don't really see those special messages from Twitch. Well, unless I open the Twitch chat, which I usually don't. So sorry. So if you don't mind me asking, how did you find me? What were you looking for? Let's see. See if it's none. Let's do that first. Log error. Browsing with some tags selected. Okay. So I guess not looking for anything particular. This is like my this. Well, I don't want to call it long running, but this is like 21st stream when I'm working on this. So I can give you a quick tour of what I'm working. So the music is a little bit distracting. So yeah, this is the bot I wrote. Let's see, let's comment this out so it can actually run. So basically I have a Discord bot, well, multiple Discord bots written. It's running. So I have a special bot that's only purpose is to set up other bots. So to make the whole process automated. So in my Discord, like there is a user called ConfigBot, which if you message it, well, you can try messaging it as well. So this is the configuration bot. For now, it's a very old implementation. Like basically, you interact with it just by pressing numbers, and he will just give you options. And so yeah, that's how it works. And I'm writing a new version of it with new buttons. Well, these are called interactions in Discord terminology. So now you have a choice, either using the numbers like you used before, or you can use buttons. I'm currently well, editing is not fully implemented. I'm still have quite a lot of work left to do. I'm currently implementing this claim button. I have the delete button done, and all of this works. You can select the bot you want to delete and so on. Well, I won't actually delete this. Yeah, so this is the project I'm currently working on. It also supports quite a few languages. Well, English too. This is just for testing purposes, so I have 2 rows of buttons. But yeah, so currently it supports 5 languages. So I guess this is the long and short of it. This is my project I'm currently working on. So how I actually did all of this, I have this. Since when can you use buttons? It's a recent change. It's relatively recent change. I think they added that like a year ago, or maybe less than a year ago, like 9-10 months ago, from what I've heard. But only now I just got around to, well, just recently I got back to creating, well, back to the development of my bots. So, and how I did that, I created like a framework for myself, where I have like menu class with generic functionality, which creates all the titles, all the details. It lists all the items. Well, it has what's called, well, what I call menu items. I have a bunch of data classes that I use for throwing data around, then classifiers for having, well, it's just a fancier way to have strings, so I wouldn't have to use them in the code itself. I can use the classifiers like this. So, well, there's there's only one. Let's see, fields go here, then I can actually choose from the classifier instead of having to type in whatever is the name in list. So this just gets, well, so this whole class is mostly for handling everything in a generic way, and like I have special flavors of the class for some more specialized functionality. For example, language menu has it has to display names in a different way, because now the labels, everything comes, all the translations, like each menu has a specialized well, these are called sections in Python. And why this shouldn't be here? So each section represents each one menu. So if I have, let's say, start menu has its own title, then it has its own description, and its list title. So after list title, you actually have the list of options you can choose from. So yeah, start menu, so this is the description, this is list title, and then the options. This breaks my mind. What I was working on also breaks my mind. What were you working on? If you don't mind sharing. Yeah, I know this is a lot, and it is hard to follow, but I can show you what I started with, which is the spaghetti code, the horrible. Oh yeah, it's still I have it open here. Have it like this. So this is the spaghetti code I started with. This is what currently is working on Discord on my server, like the actual bot that's being used. Perhaps PSP save data. Parsing PSP. PSP save data. Then go for showing all your save data. You mean PlayStation Portable, the gaming console? That is kind of interesting. And I go for showing all your save data. So it wasn't Discord. Well, it had nothing to do with Discord, I assume. What language did you use for that? Yeah. So these are all the strings I used. This was so all of these strings migrated into the classifiers or data classes as actual fields of the classes. Python. Oh, Python. Yeah. Okay. Well, Python is very easy to use, easy to start with language, much like JavaScript and well, but Python is just newer and maybe more catered to writing scripts than JavaScript. To run JavaScript, you actually need like some setup. Either you need to have Node.js setup, or you have to have a browser run the code. JavaScript is pain. Yeah, compared to Python, yeah, I kind of agree. It is a lot more painful. Let's see. So yeah, like I have. So all of this, yeah, these are a bunch of constants. Like there are no classes at all. I just have long-winded methods for doing things. So so you have large if trees. Well, this is a check, so I guess that's kind of justified. Validate things. Like these. Well, this ConfigBot config. So, this is terrible. Yeah, so this is how setting up a bot looked like in code, like a huge if tree with some magic strings being checked along the way. It's Ah, yeah, this is horrible. It was so brain frying that I started working on a meme program. Ooh. What's well, what kind of meme program? This is terrible. Like how? Yeah. So this is basically unmaintainable. I can't really be bothered to actually figure out what is what in this code. So I decided, yeah, I'd rather just write a new version with proper separation and proper classes, classifiers, and so on. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I'm along quite far along, I would say. Like I'm halfway there to being done. But it's the first time I need to actually handle user input. So I'm figuring out how to do that, because my generic menu class doesn't really have a way to do that. So yeah, I'm adding some special custom input handlers and so on to my menu context, which is used to initiate a menu. So, well, hello. What do you mean hello? It's the name of the program or what? I don't really get it. What does hello? Is that some English? Foreign language, okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with foreign language. Well, I'm sure that, well, okay, yeah, that's a different, what would you call it? A very special group of people on the internet. I guess they are not just internet, just special people in general. Right. I want to print myself an error if I'm missing an input handler in user input menu. No input handler provided. I was successfully able to convert the US Declaration of Independence into that. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of funny. Not sure what's how the utility of that seems questionable, but I guess if you're interested in that, why not? Let's see, menu item, if. Okay, else I'll actually do the handling. Oh yeah, I need to check if the menu was actually selected. Right. Call handler button. Let's check here. Custom buttons. Yeah, I definitely have buttons. So yeah, this is the new innovation in. So for packages, do you use setup CFG or setup Pi? I don't really use setup of any for packages at all. I'm not really sure what you mean by. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure how to handle setup for packages in general. I just have a bunch of, well, I import them as needed, and that's it. I don't really have a manager per se for packages. So I just import whatever is needed in each class. What is the... yeah, what do you mean by setup CFG or setup Pi? Like what usually, how they're... because I imagine it is a common problem. Like I ran into an issue where I was just moving code around quite a bit, and I got quite a few errors with circular imports. You just put the project folder name after the module, right? Project folder name? Not really. So, well, modules in Python are files, well, the Python files. And packages are the folders, if I understand correctly. So if I have a package, let's say classes, well, it has the init to actually be the package, and yeah, it already has, well, it can have some definitions in it already. So my data classes are actually defined in the init file, and then I have classifiers also in the same package. Like, you know, if it's called thing, and if it has an init file, do you import thing? Well, I usually import individual classes that I need. So yeah, so from classifiers, from classes, classifiers, import as logger, something like that. Well, not something. This is how I use it. This is how I do imports. I'm not really sure what's the purpose would be of setup config file or setup in general. How would that help? Because it only gets imported into this context, right? Like if I use it in, well, if I have an import here of, let's say, helper, that's another file I have. Well, helper is another module, but since you have the bots submodule in your project, right? I think I do. Yeah, there is bots. Yeah, that has the... Well, I don't think they actually do anything right now, but the idea is that they will be used to handle the actual... maybe this is used. Let's see, Control-Shift-G. Yeah, the helper uses it. And it is used in the menu. Oh, delete bot menu. Uses it a couple of times. So here... Oh, I thought I'm using the data class. So just for example, you put that bots folder inside a folder that is also named bots. Okay. I'm not really getting what's the point of that. And that parent folder has the setup I, which tells Python that it's package you pip install it. Oh, I don't really make packages to be that are meant to be installed by pip, using pip. So I don't really make libraries per se. So I'm not familiar with how to do that. I never felt the need to do that. I guess I could if I used the same, if I wanted to reuse parts of the application in another application, but usually they are quite different. Maybe I will have to do that for the menu, because this class is very useful in the sense that I can, well, it lets me create all of these menus can be created quite easily. So if you have a common module shared between projects, like process a string in some way, for example, you install it and just import it instead of copy pasting your files. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I just never had to do that, so it's something I've never done. like all of my applications are very different, so I'm not sure. Well, I can't really show anything because other projects are not sanitized, so they might have something I can't show on stream, like private keys or tokens from Discord and so on. But yeah, the applications are very different. Like there's an application, well, data gather, I guess I can show, but it is a very simple application compared to this. Let's see. So what it does is actually just gathers data. It queries the API and just saves data periodically to the database to be used by other applications. Yeah, it's just less work if that common module is a bit too large or complex. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. It's just something I never encountered or wanted to do. Yeah, because each of the applications are very different and don't really share anything between them. Maybe BattleBot and KillBot could be. So BattleBot and KillBot are the actual bots. Let's see. BattleBot example. So this is one of the bots. Its output would be like this. You set it up and it starts posting summaries of battles in game. So this is well, the bots are specialized for Albion Online, so for only that game. So KillBot shows the individual kills. You can set up the bot to monitor an alliance, to monitor a guild or individual players, and then when you have it set up, it starts posting messages like in this format. And the same is for BattleBot. And they are very different, like there isn't much they share. And the common functionality would be, well, there is a third bot that actually is responsible for gathering all the data into the database. So both of the bots just look up at the data, well, keep checking the database for new kills, and whenever they find new kills, they do their own thing. So there isn't all that much that could be reused between them. Maybe the functionality which actually sends the message, but it's just a couple of lines. It's not really worth extracting into a separate package and yeah, move it between projects. So yeah, so I just never had the need to do that. But it's good to know that this is how you actually do it, using what is it? Yeah, it's for specific use cases. Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess, you know, I'll have that in mind. Well, eventually, I guess, if I feel the need, because this menu is kind of getting to that point. Like, it could definitely be used. Well, I guess it should have all the data classes as well that it uses. Also, relative imports. What do you mean, relative imports? Well, I guess it will include all of the things that are imported by that class or by that module as well. Yeah, now it's not really structured for that. I guess I would have to rearrange the packages a little bit. So the menu would be actually in menus, and the classes should be a submodule of that or something like this. But yeah, it's well, it's if I end up doing this, it will be way later on, and yeah, it's still something I need to learn about. Let's see. I wonder where do they cover this in the documentation. Setup usage. Imagine it should be somewhere in language reference. relatively stored inside the project instead of name collision for a module that is installed in the library. Instead of a name collision from a module. I'm not really sure. Well, I guess when I start creating packages that can be installed well, with pip, then I could get a better understanding how it resolves the names. Let's see. Expressions, simple statements, top level components, import system. I guess this could be useful. Well, this looks like something that would have import system, replacing the standard import system. Package relative imports. I guess this is what you're talking about. Relative imports use leading dots. So I guess this. Oh. Okay. Like if the module you run in this is the same, well, there's no way you can do from dot that module or this. Yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, this tells Python only to look for modules in the current folder. Yeah, okay, that's a really good idea. I didn't really think of it. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting here. I think well, since I have class bot defined here, and I have a bot class defined here. Right. So it's from bots bot, and this one is classifiers. Well, classes bot. Why does it think I actually use that? Because I don't think I am importing it. Yeah, I'm using classes. Yeah, classes bot. Not menus and then bots. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is never imported, this module. Okay. To import modules from a parent directory, you do ... Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the same as you would be navigating the file system. So let's say if you want to go to the upper directory, just do that. Or you can do that as much as you want. So current directory and so on. Yeah. So yeah, the principle is clear. I just completely forgot about that feature. Guess I should start using it. Yeah, it makes Guess I have names like classes, menus, and so on. Config. Relatively important modules are also strict, so you can't like move one file somewhere and run it. It will say that don't try to import module relative while not knowing the parent package. Huh. Try to import module relative while not. I mean, well, I guess if it's not part of the package, yeah, it wouldn't know the parent package. So you either copy the whole folder that has .py or just straight up import it. Okay. And by importing, you mean using pip. Well, installing that in that case. So I guess I don't even need to structure it correctly. So pip should create all the necessary files, necessary folders for the packages that, well, necessary packages for all the modules that are used by the module I am importing. Do I understand it correctly? Doesn't seem likely. But it could be done. No, just like a .py file in the same folder where your module is, and use an import file. Oh. I see. Oh. Well, yeah, I'm importing a bunch of stuff that I'm using, so yeah. From the, well, from all, from all the packages I have set up, because that's what I'm moving away from. Well, from, like, if you menu, no, it's not menu. My main class, main file which has all the spaghetti, it doesn't have any imports from any packages. Well, it imports from standard library and other libraries that I've installed, like Discord. But using relative means that it's strictly importing those files, not something of the same name from the installed libraries. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it is really cool. And I should definitely do that, because now I'm importing, like, let's see. So let's see if I want to change it. Also, it ensures that proper structure, so if you move some files to the wrong place, it would error out. Yeah. Well, it would give me an error anyways. I can't really move it outside the package where it should be, where it expects it to be found, unless, as you say, it the name matches. Well, I'm not even sure. I guess you could get into a situation where one of the imported modules, well, not imported, one of the libraries installed, or a standard library, has a matching structure of packages, and it has the same module inside that package. In that case, you wouldn't get an error, just the wrong class would be, well, the wrong module would be loaded. Let's say if you move a file to the parent directory, you just put ... So specify relatively where the file is. Yeah. Wait, does that solve the circular import thing? Let's see, what would be a good example? So if, well, the helper class, I guess, is the main culprit. So if I don't think it will actually help. So from import menu. They are on the same level. They are in the same source package. Sure, why it doesn't let me do that. Circular imports is more of a design oversight thing, right? Well, that's what I assume. I'm just used to other programming languages. Like I've been a Java developer for a long time, and in Java you just import. You can import files however you need them. Well, not files, classes and packages. So I don't even remember having an issue with circular imports, but in Python it is definitely a thing, because if well, it tries to initialize, run all of them at once. Well, at the very beginning, it executes all of them, initializes all of them, and when it meets an import, it goes and initializes that first. So if it goes there and it has a reference back, then it's not finished initializing it. It can't finish, well, it ends up in a deadlock where two packages are, well, two modules are waiting for each other to be initialized. I've had circular imports where I had a global config, and the config was read in a script, which makes sure an empty file always exists. It goes back and forth and it dies. Yeah, so something like that. Well, there is a singleton pattern that I actually implement here. Where is it? Singleton. Yeah, so this is the singleton. This is what is pretty much imported by all the packages. So I need to be careful not to have like cross imports with this, which is very easy to get into that situation when you have a module that's shared pretty much throughout the whole application. So yeah, I can't import like the menu or any of other modules that use it. Yeah, so from... Wait, where's the singleton? I guess I don't really use it here. Okay. Does your singleton use something like a meta class? No, I just call it a singleton, and that's it. It's just an instance, just a class that follows the pattern, the singleton pattern, where it creates its own instance. Well, each time you initialize it, instead of creating a new instance, it returns the same instance. So it creates it only once, and the rest of the times it just returns the same instance. So data can be shared, like so. This is where all the configuration is saved, and yeah, the data that needs to be shared across the whole application is shared through the singleton, and that is also a valid method. I'm not really sure about the meta class. I don't think I ever used that. But by saying meta class, you mean a parent class that is made for that. Have a short look at meta classes when you've got time. Oh, don't see why I shouldn't take a look now. Meta classes, because data classes was something new I found out just recently. Let's see, meta class. Okay, going to allow the subclass module types like integer string tuple. Customize instance creation. It's also commonly overridden in custom meta classes in order to customize class creation. So what actually is? What's the definition? Meta classes. Okay, by default, classes are constructed using type method. The class body is executed in a new namespace, and the class name is bound to locally to the result of the type. Okay. The class creation process can be customized by passing the meta class keyword argument in the class definition line, by inheriting an existing class that includes such an argument. So meta class. So this. Class definition line, or by, okay. In the following example, both my class and my subclass are instances of meta. This looks like inheritance, just said, well, done in a different way. Like, what's the difference between this and having it go through meta class? Like specifically saying that it is a meta class and not just a parent class. Any other keyword argument that are specified in the class definition are passed through to all meta class options described below. Okay. There's a good Stack Overflow question about singletons where it's explained. I'll try to avoid Stack Overflow if I can. The class definition is executed, the following steps occur. MRO entries. I'm not sure what they mean by MRO. The appropriate meta class is determined. Class namespace is prepared, the class body is executed, the class object is created. Following MRO entries. I usually told what MRO stands for. The base that appears in the class definition is not an instance of type. MRO entries method is searched on it. Found is called with the original base tuple. This method must return a tuple of the classes that will be used instead of this base. Tuple may be empty in such case. Original base is ignored. Yeah, I guess I need to read more about this. Don't remember. Yeah, I guess when I read through the documentation I just skipped over this. Because inheritance seems to do most of the things I need. But yeah, understanding this would definitely help in certain situations. Uses for meta class. Uses for meta class are boundless. Some ideas that have been explored is enum, logging, interface checking, automatic delegation, automatic property creation, proxies, frameworks, automatic resource locking synchronization. It is very specific thing for Python 3, yeah. I can't really think of anything like anything similar in Python. I mean in Java. That's my instance and subclass checks. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting subject. Okay, well, thank you for showing me this. I'll definitely come back to this and study it properly. Well, off stream. I don't think it's well, I guess I could do it on stream, but today I wanna move along with my menu creation. I guess that sure, if you can. I'm not sure how Nightbot react to links, but I definitely will be able to see it even if Nightbot removes it. You might get a warning for posting links. Well, that's the precaution I take because of just random bots that like to come along into streams and post links. This here, okay. Right. Can give a quick look. Ooh, that's a lot of upvotes. Whether or not singleton design pattern is desirable, it's an anti-pattern or in a religious wars. But to discuss how this pattern is best implemented in Python in such a way that is most Pythonic. In this instance, I define most Pythonic to mean that it follows the principles of least astonishment. Okay. You have multiple classes which would become singletons. My use case is for a vlogger, but this is not important. I don't wish to clutter several classes with added gump when I can simply inherit or decorate. Okay, makes sense. Singleton inherits from class. Yeah, this is an odd way. Well, I'm not used to this syntax at least. I guess this just means that this will be part of the class, so any class can have this. So I guess this is how you define a decorator. Okay. I never actually created decorators myself. Get instance. Oh, so, okay, so this is what it does. It has the instances. Huh. So it has a bunch of those. So this is a generic implementation for singletons. Okay. So any class that inherits singleton will basically inherit the same behavior. Okay, that's cool. Well, all of them will have in method get instance, which always makes sure to return the same class. Well, the same instance for the same class. Decorator is additive in a way that it's often more intuitive than multiple inheritance. Yeah, I guess so. While objects created using my class would be true singleton objects, my class itself is a function, not a class. So you cannot call class methods from it. My class itself is a function. Not really sure what he means. He declares it as a method, or I mean as a class. Okay. So X is instance of, well, both are instances of my class. The type, I have no idea what this does. X not equal T and Y not equal T, even though X and Y are the same instances. Does he assign n something? I'm pretty sure type will just return the name of the class for given instance. I'm not really sure what n is in this context. Okay, so this is a decorator method. Base class. Yeah, so this is how I do it. Singleton. Base class is just if you need multiple inheritance. It's a true class. Yeah, well, I'm used to working with classes in Java, so it's a lot more natural to me, at least. New could be overwritten during inheritance from a second base class. One has to think more than is necessary. Yeah, I guess so. But I usually don't have the need. Well, I guess if you're making a library and there's a bunch of cases you need to take into account, yeah, that might be an issue. Okay, a meta class. Yeah, this should be an interesting example. Seems very similar to the decorator. Also, well, this holds a dictionary. Oh yeah, this holds, well, this is dictionary as well. All class and pass on the arguments. Class not in the instances, then yeah, create a new instance using call. Happened. And disclose. They just close it? Oh. Oh, I went back by accident again. Oh. That was a bit of a fail. That runs the instance. Automatically covers inheritance, uses meta class for its proper purpose, and made me aware of it, and doesn't seem to have any cons. So how does this actually work? So it defines singleton as a meta class. Yeah, I guess it solves the issue of multiple inheritance. Huh. So, yeah. Much like using normal inheritance, since this defines that singleton is the meta class, it somehow doesn't, well, other inheritance from other classes don't interfere with the creation of, well, managing of instances. Okay. That is cool. Okay, let's see. Fourth, decorator returning a class with the same name. Okay. Class. I wonder if this is a keyword of some sorts. Okay. That overrides the new init. Okay, if class. Yeah, I'm not really sure how this. Okay, so it looks at the, well, in Java we call this static classes. So the class you don't have to initialize, and it has all the variables already assigned. So this is an well, access its static namespace. I'm not sure how if that's the correct way to describe it. Like, Python terminology is a little bit odd to me. Let's see. So if it doesn't have an instance, Uh, hmm. It creates a new one using parent method, well, parent constructor. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Instance sealed. Huh. Yeah, this seems like a very generic way to do that. Well, yeah, this is beyond my understanding. Like, I can't really parse what's going on here. The true class auto magically covers inheritance, not an overhead for creating each new class. Oh, so we can creating 2 classes for each class we wish to make a singleton. Or that might not be the case. Of course, there is a matter of debate as to whether it ought to be easy to scale this pattern. The point of sealed attribute. Huh. Oh, I guess it is being switched when you create new and you init. If it's sealed, it doesn't do anything. So init doesn't, just returns without actually making an instance. So yeah, that's what it means by creating it twice. Huh. Yeah, this is, yeah, beyond me. A module file singleton.py, pros, simple, it's better than complex, not lazily instantiated. Not sure what they mean by just having a module, I guess. Well, I guess if you just have a module, you can have, well, I guess this means you can consider a module a singleton just by itself, because it will be initialized with whatever is inside it. Everything will be executed. So I don't really have to, by that logic, in my singleton, I don't even have to define a class. I just have all the variables and methods, and that would be it. I think they mean they just create an instance of a class and just put in the module. I don't, well, kind of, from what I understand. You just define a variable that will be your well, you don't even have to have a class. Like you can have all of these variables just laying bare in the module itself, and all of them will be initialized when you import the singleton module. So all these values will be assigned, all of these methods, well, you will have to call the specific methods you want to be used during initialization. So yeah, you don't even have to have this new thing, and so on. And whenever you need to call a method from a singleton, you just call one of these methods, and instead of accessing through self reference, you can just access them as is, like, well, without going through your own instance. And that's how you can access like all of these. Everything is just there. Since you don't have anything to initialize, you can't create multiple instances. And one instance is guaranteed because it will be created when you're importing the module. Well, in a sense that everything will be initialized, like all the values will be assigned. And if I have, let's say I have a method defined read config, let's say, and well, let's say it does something, and then I have just read config. Can write it, spell it correctly. I call it, then when it's gonna be imported, all of this will be executed. That's what they mean, no lazy initialization. Yes, exactly. So it will be initialized when the application is basically parsing all the imports. Since you import it, yeah. They come instantiated before. Yes, exactly. So you have well, your overhead. Well, in some cases it matters, in some cases it doesn't. But usually, I imagine it doesn't really matter in the case of a singleton pattern, because you will have to have it initialized sooner or later. It's not like a question of if you will need it. It's like just when you will need it. So might as well have it loaded at the very beginning. All right. And you still have access to these methods. Yeah, so this is a quite simple way. I do that with CLI scripts. You don't want them to be too complex. Yeah, I imagined. Yeah, that is true. Like usually, if you're working with command line, asking for inputs and doing the outputs in the command line, usually it's just simple, quite simple scripts. At least that's what I've seen so far. I don't really have that many scripts. Well, all of my applications don't really have an interface, but they usually are meant to be running in the background. So they have a loop, an event loop. Oh, in this case, I just run the my client, which comes from the library I use for connecting to Discord. So it basically has defines a bunch of handlers for events with decorators, and just runs and waits until they're needed to handle an event. Is it asynchronous? I don't really know. I think they are. I never actually tested that. Well, the handling is pretty fast, so I don't even know how would I be able to test. I got a sync. Oh yeah, sync. Yeah, that is true. It's hard to properly test the sync. Yeah, the functionality. Well, you need to block the execution and wait for another instance to start running and somehow detect it, or maybe just log it. And yeah, it's maybe you could have some data flagged in the singleton. Well, but this is just testing for testing purposes. I'm not really sure if that's necessary. If I have to do a sync, I just go to JavaScript. Huh. I'm not sure if there's what's the benefit then going to JavaScript? Is JavaScript just all by default asynchronous? Or what? Or JavaScript has no blocking I/O, right? Well, Node.js doesn't, as far as I know. It's like its event loop is very specific, that it wouldn't block itself. But yeah, I guess yeah, you're right. Well, I don't really. It's been a while since I did anything with JavaScript. So yeah, my JavaScript knowledge is not really on par. Well, even my Python knowledge is quite limited. You can tell there is quite a lot. Like like Python doesn't seem all that complicated until you get into the details, and turns out it has quite a few very specific things that work like in, I want to say odd, but not because they are odd, but unusual ways. I guess that's what they what they mean. That's what they mean when they talk about Pythonistic way of doing things, or Pythonistic behaviors and so on. Yeah, because like the async await thing in JavaScript is more syntactic sugar. Yeah, I don't even remember if you, well, yeah, I don't remember using that. I only have one JavaScript application that's for PayPal integration. So PayPal Monitor basically is a Node.js application that's running and waiting for messages from PayPal. But I can't really show it at the moment, so I definitely didn't sanitize that code, and it definitely has the keys from PayPal. Let's see. Right. So input handling, first of all. Okay, this is the error. We have a thing called promise, which is timed out. And send output signals and stuff. Oh right, promise. This is a futures pattern, I think it's called, where you can, well, you have to wait for the object to finish. It's like, if I remember correctly, it's what I would call a second generation of callback methods. So it's like a more complicated way to have a callback method. Yeah, Python also has the futures pattern. Yeah, well, who doesn't at this point? I actually, yeah, so Hikari also, oh no, it's something different. It's a verify or something, remember. So the library I'm using for interacting with Discord. Futures look easier to read in my opinion. I haven't done anything with futures in so long, I don't even remember. Yeah, I wouldn't remember how to actually write using futures. But I don't remember it being too complicated. It's something I learned in Java and never touched after that, after I finished my certification. It's not something we actually used in code. It's just kind of sad, I guess. Let's see, Hikari. Documentation. I remember I had it open somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So gateway. Tense. This documentation is a little bit awkward to navigate. I used it to max out 9700K by downloading 3000 web pages under a minute. Okay. It was very bad how I wrote. Okay. Well, if your goal was to stress your CPU, then, you know, as long as you got the desired effect, or was that unintentional to max out your CPU? Let's see. It was only possible because they didn't have rate limits. By they, what do you mean? The website you were downloading? Or you were downloading this? I guess you were downloading the same page over and over again. Website I was downloading for a game wiki. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the website wasn't set up for that. Well, didn't have rate limits. I imagine your bandwidth would be first bottleneck, but maybe the CPU also could be. I never actually downloaded anything on mass. Data for cards with a lot of pages. Huh. Well, if that data included some images, I imagine the bandwidth would be... Yeah, I didn't have the i7. Yeah, I'm not really sure. 9700K, which well, which tier of the CPU it is. Oh, my friend had a gigabit in Aussie land, so in Australia. Nice. So he ran it. Okay. Yeah, with gigabit maybe. Still 3000 pages, that's a lot. How long did you say it took you? Where was it? Under a minute. Yeah, that's... Well, I guess you stressed both. 50-60 seconds, yeah. Was that intentional or not, to download 3000 instances of it? Or it just happened like that by accident? And... don't actually remember where... Oh, it was not intentional to create that many workers, but it was money. Yeah, I imagine so. Well, that's part of learning, I guess. We just experiment and try different things and see what breaks and yeah, what's possible. Like, there's no other way to know where the limit is. You kinda need to find it by trial and error. This is interesting. Carry gateway. Huh. Nowadays I profile my code before I send it to someone. Yeah, it's well, I don't really share my code with anyone, so I don't really have that issue. see, for something else. Yeah, DM message create event, interaction create event. Yeah, let's look for this. This will have what I'm looking for. Interaction, yes. I think this is one. Well, I expected it to have some methods. Yeah, it's not really like not really sure. This documentation doesn't seem all that helpful. Or I'm just bad at navigating it. I get cool that it has properties. Do you use something like awesome PM? I'm not aware of. I have no idea what that is, to be honest. So let's take a look. Awesome window manager. Oh. Got it from next generation framework. Window manager. It is very fast. I use KDE. Window manager thing now. I use KDE and well, it's just something I use for quite a long time. Yeah, so it's I use Ubuntu. I'm very casual when it comes to Linux. Like I just like it. I like that it works. So I try not to overthink it. I just download the LTS version of Ubuntu when it comes out. Slap KDE on top of it and just use that, and it just works. I don't really want to mess around too much with my Linux. Since I used that for well, pretty much everything. Because when I used to do that, I tried different window managers and played with kernels and so on. Sometimes you get into situations where it breaks, and you don't even know where to begin to fix it. Also, main strength is its extensibility with Lua if you're tinkering. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not really tinkering anymore at least. Like I'm just done with tinkering. I just want it to work. And Windows is just so bad. So Ubuntu just covers everything I need at this point from an operating system. Right, I don't actually find, well, I can't find what I wanted to showcase. Rather receive this event. Yeah, there's so much I still have to learn. Well, I'm looking, okay, not data classes. Meta classes, yeah, this is something interesting I should wrap my head around. Well, in any case, it is actually time for me to go. Sadly, I didn't... I barely did any progress on my... But at least I learned a couple of new things, which is always good. So I guess I'll just have to keep on... continue working on this tomorrow. But yeah, it is actually lunchtime, so I have to go. Thank you for coming along and showcasing me all these concepts that I wasn't familiar with. Not really sure what else to say. Thank you, and see you later, I guess.